The group of five. That's right. We're going to break down some of these smaller conferences. Why? Because you asked for it. Up next on Bet on It. Kelly Stewart here, Marco D'Angelo, Gianni the Greek. He also goes by Ace if you guys are new here. We got lots of nicknames for my guy on the far right. I also have a question about the nickname of the group of five now that it's 6 conferences with the Pac-12. We'll get into it. We're also going to talk about the MAC, the Athletic, the Fun Belt, as I like to call it, and of course, the Mountain West. We're going to get right into it because we got lots to cover for you guys today, mainly because you told us in the other college football preview that you wanted it. So we're going to go Pac-12 first. Marco D'Angelo, you have the floor.
Well, Kelly, the Pac-12, we're putting the band back together, so to speak, with some of the old Pac-12 teams, but, you know, doesn't resemble it anywhere at all. And the team that is the favorite is actually the Mountain West invader, and why not? It is Boise State. They're plus 170 to win the conference, and it makes sense. Why? Because this is a team that's dominated the Mountain West. This is a team that has never been shy about scheduling out of conference games against some of the big boys, and they have proven that they can play on a bigger stage. So moving over to the Pac-12 with their physical style, and that's the reason they dominated the Mountain West so many years in a row, is transferable here to the Pac-12. But I know you don't like chalk-eating weasels, so I can't go with the obvious play of Boise State. And I looked at the other candidates that have moved, and the next 2 favorites in the conference are teams that moved over from the Mountain West, and that's, you know, Fresno State and San Diego State. And I'm just not sold on either one of those 2 teams. If they couldn't beat Boise in the Mountain West, why are they going to beat them here in the Pac-12? So let's take a look at Texas State. This is kind of the X factor. And this is a prime example of shopping around for the best number. You can get Texas State as high as plus 650 to win the Pac-12 and as low as plus 450. And it pays to shop. And I'm going to give them a chance here. They've got the offense and a quarterback that can really make some noise this season. Quarterback Brad Jackson threw for 3,200 yards and 21 touchdowns last season. Not only that, he's a true dual threat quarterback. He has 924 rushing yards and 17 touchdowns on the ground. That is what I like to see with my quarterback in my offense. Now, of course, when you talk about Texas State, you're going to always worry about, you know, the defense, but the defense got an overhaul. They hired a new defensive coordinator, Will Windham, and I think they're going to make some strides in that area. Obviously, it couldn't be much worse than they were last year. But Boise State, it's their conference to win. But if I got to find a sleeper at a price, Kelly, I'm going to go ahead and go with Texas State plus 650.
All right, we're going to move along to the MAC. Now, if you remember on our other college football preview show, VR kind of already touched on this team, but I want him to kind of dive into this conference just a little bit more. Why? Because we love watching them on Tuesday and Wednesday nights between the NFL primetime games. So VR, let us know what you think about the MAC.
Yeah, and the MAC does attract plenty of betting action. In fact, when I first moved to Las Vegas, we used to call it the junk games. It was like the added board, and all of these were on added board. Like, you didn't get the opportunities that we have now, the amount of matchups and betting lines that they give us, options. I mean, the market really in college football is unbelievable. With that said, MAC getting that primetime action will get a lot of public money where, like I said, back in the day, this was just sharp. If you saw a move on Central Michigan, Bowling Green, Buffalo, Ball State, teams like that, you could confirm it was sharp because nobody else was betting this stuff. That's not the case anymore. And this is a perfect example when you look at the odds for the MAC. Looking at last year's all the teams from last year that were 6-2 in conference, 7-1 in conference are more or less returning and are favorites once again. We're looking at Toledo, Western Michigan, Miami, Ohio, and Central Michigan. Those are the teams more or less that matter when you look at this season. Now, for me, it's simply power rated related. That's what I stick to. You're going to get a lot of the X's and O's and a lot of the details on players and matchups from Marco and Kelly. They're excellent at that. I stick to strictly data and numbers, and here's what I have. When I look at Toledo, Western Michigan, Miami, Central Michigan, Ohio, I would make Toledo the favorite over all of those. That's exactly what our numbers reflect. Toledo, in fact, is power rated wise is 78th on our power ratings. And that's the best in the MAC. So you understand. Behind them, Ohio, we have them in the mid 80s. Now, Toledo would be probably about a 3-point favorite over Ohio as well. Now, Ohio is giving you about plus 650. Toledo's giving you plus 400. The favorite is Western Michigan. And believe it or not, I would make Western Michigan a dog to both Toledo, a dog to Ohio as well. Shows you going in which teams are overvalued, which teams are undervalued. Circle Western Michigan is an overvalued team. Season win totals. I gave out subscribers over 7.5 in Toledo. I'm pretty sure I released that here also. It was a 4% best bet. We have Toledo winning closer to 9 games. Also, to win the MAC, Toledo plus 400, I think offers a lot of value. The break even there is 20%. I have them power rated number 1. I have them a 3-point favorite over the next best team at plus 400. Again, this is an automatic bet. Everyone else in the conference, not much to share except overvalued Western Michigan and undervalued will be Ohio and Toledo. Those are the teams to take advantage of as far as the MAC goes.
All right, let's get into the American Athletic Conference. And bottom line, I think this is a 2-horse race, and we're going to talk about one of them now and one of them at the end of the show because I think they could actually make the college football playoff. Yes, they have to at least let one of these conferences in, and last year we saw 2 get in. Bottom line, I think the media loves Navy this year. Navy's the betting favorite, and I kind of get it. They have an easy schedule. They don't play Tulane or East Carolina. And in fact, they play Florida Atlantic, UAB, Tulsa, North Texas, Temple, Memphis, and then at Charlotte. I do think that we're not quite realizing how much continuity matters, especially in these smaller conferences. In the NIL era, these teams get decimated. Why? Because they get paid to go to bigger schools. Navy lost their best quarterback in Blake Horvath, and that guy ran for over 1,200 yards, threw for over 1,300, and I think he's going to be very tough to replace. But Navy is returning over half of their defense, and defense does win championships. So put a pin in them. I could argue one way or another about Navy. But BR mentioned some of these teams that we're looking to bet on, teams that we're looking to fade. I'm looking to bet overs on a team named Army. And I think it's going to take the books a few weeks to adjust. And mainly because this offense with Cale Helms, holy cow. If you remember, he made my life a living hell versus Kansas State last year. Over 1,200 rushing yards from a quarterback. That's number 1 in college football. They also have 4 starters back on that offensive line. So we know Army is going to score. But the best part about betting these overs, other than just the team totals over, is Army's defense is going to give up a ton of points. They return one of the fewest defensive starters in college football. Another team that my Wildcats play this year is Tulane, and they made the college football playoff last year, but they're not returning anybody. Just 28% of their team. John Summerall, now at Florida. They got new head coach, new offensive coordinators. They don't know who their quarterback is going to be, and today is August 19th. So open up at Duke, then at Kansas State. I'm going to be honest, hand up, I don't know what to make of this Green Wave team. And then you've got USF, who has a total set at 8.5 wins, which is the highest in this conference, yet they aren't favored to win this conference. And I think that the schedule is kind of why. FIU, Delaware State, Kent State at Bowling Green. Sure, they're favored in all 4, but you got a new head coach in Brian Hartline and a defense that is going to be remains to be seen. I think you can take that season win total under. A couple of steam plays. I'm going to put my VR hat on here. East Carolina got steamed from -105 to +115 on the over season win total. I think we know exactly why money's coming in on that under. They return exactly 1 offensive starter. North Texas, a team that was 12-2 last season, lost 22 of their 24 starters plus their head coach. Their season win total went from 6.5 to 5.5. I think we missed the boat on that. So 2 dates that are going to decide the American Athletic Conference. October 17th is Navy at UTSA. November 21st, Memphis at Navy. One of those 2 teams is going to be playing for the title, and we will talk about one of those 2 teams at the end of the show. Up next, I'm really curious to see who Marco likes in the newly formed Mountain West. Marco, is it one of the new teams, or is it an old tried and true?
Well, Kelly, the favorite to win the Mountain West Conference is UNLV, and why not? UNLV has played in the conference championship game 3 straight years. 3 straight years, they lost the conference championship game. To who? Well, Boise State. Let me look around. I don't see Boise State in the Mountain West Conference anymore. They now reside in the Pac-12. So the natural knee-jerk reaction is, hey, now it is UNLV's turn. The problem with UNLV that I have, Kelly, is I just don't think this team physically is tough enough to win the conference. Yeah, they always have a flashy offense. The problem is every year that flashy offense gets gutted. They're going to be playing their 3rd straight new quarterback this year. Is their quarterback comes in, has a great year, and when you are a smaller school that doesn't pay a lot of money in NIL salaries, so to speak, you're going to lose prize prospects, and that's what happened again to UNLV. Also, it is the 2nd year for Dan Mullen. I'm always a little bit leery when a guy takes over a program that was turned around by somebody else. Remember, it was Barry Odom that turned this program around for UNLV. He left last year to go to Purdue, and Dan Mullen took over. Now, granted, it's easier to take over when you got a foundation in place. Now it's the 2nd year of your philosophies, your players. Let's see if they maintain that. The next 2 teams in the conference make sense. New Mexico and North Dakota State, one of the new entries. I really am intrigued by North Dakota State. The problem is, how do they handle the jump up to FBS? We know what they've done in the lower division is they've been in the championship game, it seems like every year. But this is a big jump, and see how they handle a full season of playing against tougher opponents. I still think they're going to make some noise. But the team that I settled in on is Air Force. I like Air Force in this one. I think they are a legitimate sleeper in the division. And why? Well, let's start with that option attack. It is so hard for teams to prepare for it. When you only see it once, maybe twice a season, and you have to prepare for it on 1 week's notice, it's tough for teams. That's a huge advantage for Air Force. And it'll be an even bigger advantage for some of the newcomers to the division that'll be facing that for maybe the first time. Also, I like continuity. And Air Force has had the same offensive coordinator for 13 seasons now. They return a quarterback who struggled last year with injuries, but is healthy coming back this year. So I expect a good season from him. He's experienced. And when you talk about experience and you talk about running the option attack, it all starts with that offensive line. And they bring back 3 key offensive line starters from last year. I think this team is set offensively to score a lot of points once again. Now, the problem with Air Force last year was a defense that looked like Swiss cheese for most of the year. They got better as the season progressed. In fact, over the final 6 games of the season, this young defense started to gel as they held 5 of the last 6 opponents to 21 points or less. And they bring back almost that entire defense this year. So with that experience, defense got better at the end of the season, an offense that should click from the word go. I think they've got a real shot of winning the Mountain West. And it's all going to come down to the big game against UNLV, I think. And they get UNLV at home, big advantage. I'll go ahead, take a flyer on Air Force to be the sleeper in the Mountain West Conference.
All right, Marco digging deep for that one. Let's see if Air Force can't have a offensively rebounding year. VR, let's talk about a conference now in Conference USA that I haven't even looked at yet. Hand up, I'm in trouble. I'm launching a new network today. We've got a lot of stuff going on. And unfortunately, this conference got pushed to the wayside by me because the reality is unless they're playing a Power 4 program, I'm not paying that much attention to them. So kind of dig deep here, give us some nuggets, and let us know what we should be betting here in Conference USA.
So deep, Kel. As of last year, I was able only to go about 50 teams deep. This year, my quants got me all the way to 138, to where Massachusetts is the worst team in college football. So I have you covered from top to bottom. We're so ready for this year's NFL and college football. So going to keep it simple for you. Going to go to the power ratings once again. And here's what we got. 6-horse race. When you look at the odds, anything around 8-1 or better, there's 6 teams. It's Liberty, Western Kentucky, Jacksonville State, Delaware, Kennesaw, and Florida International. Now, you look at those teams, all of them last year. Delaware was 500. Everyone else had a winning record in the conference. Kennesaw State, Jacksonville State stick out the most. Both went 7-1. Now, Liberty's the team getting all the attention this year. They went 3-5 in conference last year, expecting a big jump. I disagree. In fact, I'm going to tell you my season win total bet for you in this conference is to go under Liberty 8.5 season wins. Even with a slight improvement, I don't think they're going to improve to where this team wins 9 games. I look at Liberty, their offense and defense, as far as efficiency goes, not even in the top 100. Fortunately, they have an easy strength of schedule, but so does everyone else in that conference. They're all around that 100th as far as difficulty goes, 100, 120th. So they have a very easy strength of schedule because it's an easy conference. Now, when I look at the ratings, the actual ratings, I would make Western Kentucky the favorite over everyone in that conference. In fact, I make Western Kentucky a favorite of about 4 points, 4.5 over the next best team, which is Jacksonville State, followed by the next best team, Liberty. So we actually have Liberty so overvalued that we believe Jacksonville State is better than them on a neutral field, should be favored over Liberty. That probably won't be the case, but that's where we would find value on betting that Jacksonville State side. So here's what we have with Western Kentucky. They are the only team in the entire conference that has an offense that's in the top 100. Everyone else is outside the top 100. They are the only team in the conference that has a defense that's in the top 100 in efficiency. So again, they're the only team on both sides of the ball that are in the top 100 power rated wise. And then when I look at strength of schedule, it's as easy or as difficult as everyone else in the conference. So for me, it's an easy pick. It's Western Kentucky. Again, they're the second pick. Pretty much you're getting 3-1. But there's a ton of value there because they would be a bigger favorite over the second best team than the MAC as far as the Toledo setup went. So we're going to go with Western Kentucky at plus 300 to win the Conference USA. And then we're going to go under 8.5 in Liberty and take advantage of the hype for a team that will take a step forward, but just not as forward as the projection. So look to fade Liberty, look to take advantage of Western Kentucky, and look to take advantage of Jacksonville, who should be undervalued as well. Delaware's the overvalued. Of those last three, Delaware, Kennesaw, Florida International, Delaware's overvalued. They'd actually would be my third option out of those three. But if you look at the future odds, they're actually the top option out of those three. So another team that'll be a little bit overvalued. That's my outlook for preview, for Conference USA heading into the season.
All right. And last but certainly not least, the Sun Belt, aka the Fun Belt. At least it was last year when JMU went 12-2, 8-0 in this league, won a title over Troy, and got themselves into the college football playoff. But here's the problem. Bob Chesney now took the UCLA job and his entire roster with him. That means Wayne Knight, the guy who had almost 1,400 rushing yards, gone. Shahir West, their best defensive player with 7 sacks, gone. And a handful more. Their starting quarterback went to UCF. What do you do? That is kind of the problem that I have here. Billy Napier, do I love him? Sure. Do I wish that he would have had more success at Florida? Absolutely. He is a very good hire here. Remember, he went 40-12 at ULL, but he's not inheriting a team here. He's got a complete and utter rebuild. And this schedule does them no favor. 6 road games, 3 straight Thursday night games in October and early November, and no bye week until the second to last week of the season. 11 consecutive weeks of football. They're going to get to know each other really well. And I understand that's probably why they're the betting favorite on paper. But I'm going to go a different angle here. Marshall, 8-1. Carlos Del Rio Wilson, preseason offensive player of the year in this league. And he's really the only settled in and proven quarterback in this conference. 2,000 passing yards, 666 rushing, and 23 total touchdowns. Marshall has a 5 first-team preseason all-conference set of players, and that is the most in the Sun Belt. Everybody else in this division is going to play 6 division teams, with 2 crossovers. And the 2 crossovers that Marshall has, South Alabama and ULM, 2 of the worst teams in the West. So got them circled here at 8-1 to possibly win it. Don't forget, Louisiana Tech is in this conference now. Southern Miss is still there, even though everybody forgot about them. And that's because they return nobody. Keep in mind, I think somebody could argue Old Dominion plus 450, but that 10 wins last year came with 24 turnovers. Know that luck factor we talk about a lot here? Yeah, they're going to need a lot of luck to be able to get 10 wins again in this conference. And I think we can't talk about the Sun Belt without talking about Troy. They did win the West last year. They are currently 8-1 as well. Donnie Smith, preseason defensive player of the year with 11 sacks. Yes, Goose Crowder is back at quarterback. But I just don't know if that defense is going to be able to keep up that momentum from last season. So I will digress and go with Marshall 8-1. I don't have a lot of love for this team, but I think that there's some significant value here with them. Marco D'Angelo, I'm going to let you go first on teams to make the college football playoff from the group of 5 schools, group of 6. I think we have to start calling it the group of 6. But we are going to tell you about a little special first over at WagerTalk.
Yeah, Kelly, you can pick up the entire football season. You can buy either the NFL, college by itself, or get the combo deal. And I'm going to give you a coupon to save $100. You can do it on any of us here on the show. You can purchase VR, myself, or Kelly. Use coupon code BET100 and take $100 off any of those football packages. And if you want to get a combo deal with 2 of the 3 of us or all 3 of us, email support at a WagerTalk and tell them what you want. We'll give you a better deal, bigger discount if you buy multiple of us here on the Bet On It show. Now, Kelly, as far as looking at the futures of who could make the college football playoffs, yeah, this one's going to be chalky, but I'm going to be honest with you. At this price, it makes the most sense to me. We saw what happened last year when 2 teams got in and, basically got dominated. in those playoff games with Tulane and James Madison. I think Boise State has the inside track. They are the front runner in the revamped Pac-12. I think the Pac-12 is going to get a little bit of bias with the committee when it comes time. And plus the fact, as I said, when we broke down the Pac-12, Boise State is a proven commodity. They have cracked the conference playoffs before, the championship playoffs before, and we've seen them pull some upsets in the past. I think they have the pedigree to do it. They have the best route to get there. And if it comes down to a tiebreaker between somebody out of the Pac-12 who has come back from the grave to be reborn in the college football, I think that's going to sway it over any of the other conferences. You would literally probably have to have a team run the table, be undefeated to supplant Boise State, in my opinion. And plus 450, that's the way to go.
All right, VR, your team does not have odds, and I just looked again on the Hard Rock app with no avail. But tell us why you like JMU to run it back to the college football playoff.
I found 15-1. Found 15-1. So they're
Okay.
right around that 15-1 range. And I'm going to keep it simple for you. Power rated wise, they're right around my top 30. Okay. So they don't deserve to be in the college football playoffs, but it's the wins that stick out to me the most. When I look at projected wins, I have this team winning 10 football games. Now, if they get lucky and run the table, that's their entrance in. In fact, I have them winning more games than Texas, more games than Miami, more games than Utah, more games than Oklahoma, more games than Alabama, more games than Oregon. And if you win that many football games, you're going to, put yourself in at least the running for playoffs. At 15-1, going with Jay Madison. Now, they would be a 21-point dog to my number one team, Ohio State. So again, they're not deserving, but teams that are undeserving make it year in and year out. James Madison is my pick.
Yeah, we saw them as a bigger underdog last year to Oregon in the college football playoff. That one got a little spicy at the end. I could see it getting spicy versus Ohio State. Not going to win a game, but they got a shot to get in. All right, my pick to get into the college football playoff, UTSA, meet 10-1. I mentioned continuity being extremely important here for these group of 5 programs. And that's because, again, the NIL era teams get destroyed. UTSA is one of the most complete. Owen McCown, everything I'm hearing coming out of San Antonio says he is going to be back for his 3rd year, and he is healthy. Almost 3,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. Boy, that offense has been clicking with him as the starter, almost 36 points per game. The good news is they return over half of their offensive line. But here's the guy I like the most. His name is Jeff Traylor. He has been the head coach there for 7 years, 53-26, and he puts up an absolute dogfight as an underdog. Phil Steele, I was perusing his magazine to kind of make sure that I was correct about this team. 25-1 in conference games at the Alamo Dome. They have lost 1 conference game there in San Antonio. And guess who has to go play there on October 17th? Yeah, the team we talked about is everybody's pick to win the AAC, Navy. And their schedule is equally, if not even softer than Navy's. No Memphis, no East Carolina, no Army. If this defense can make stops, I think they can win the AAC and get into the college football playoff. Well, we hope this was everything you guys hoped and dreamed for. You wanted it, so we brought it to you. Tell us what else you want in the comment sections, because we got a couple of weeks leading up to football season. Make sure you guys head over to the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Marco D'Angelo is going to break down some of those independents, because it's not my fault that Notre Dame doesn't have a conference. VR is going to be joining me on Last Call each and every Saturday. We're going to go over his power ratings for college football so you guys can update yours there at home. And until week 1 of college football, this has been Bet On It.